Good day to each and everyone, especially Coach Jude. For this video, we are going to discuss the topic 4 about factors of affecting childhood development. So, childhood development involves the biological and psychological and emotional changes that occur in human being between birth and the conclusion of adolescence. Childhood is divided into 3 stages of life, which include early childhood, middle childhood, and adolescence. So what is prenatal development? The process of the prenatal development occurs the 3 main stages. The first 2 weeks after conception are known as the germinal stage. The 3rd through the 8th weeks is known as embryonic period, and the time from the 9th week until birth is known as the fetal period. Under the prenatal development, first is the teratogen. So what is teratogen? A teratogen is any substance or agents in the environment that can have detrimental effect on the developing fetus. Various teratogens include drugs, alcohol, tobacco, and other environmental agents. So sometimes that can cause birth defects or abnormalities in a developing embryo or a fetus. And exposure through indigestion, environment, atmosphere. So includes some medication, recreational drugs, tobacco products, chemicals, alcohol, infections, health problems, and diabetes. There is a tandem of affections. So 10 to 14 days, teratogens can begin affecting the developing embryo. 3 to 4 weeks, teratogen exposure can cause neural tube defect. First 20 weeks, chickenpox can result in congenital varicella syndrome. Near delivery, chickenpox can result in neutral varicella. Next is stress emotion. What is stress emotion? It is a feeling of emotional or physical tensions. It comes from any event or truth that makes you feel frustrated, angry, or nervous. Stress in your body's reactions to challenge or demand. In short, various stress can be positive, such as when it's helped you avoid danger or meet a deadline. High levels of stress that continue for a long time may cause health problems like high blood pressures and heart disease. During pregnancy, stress can increase the chances of having a premature baby born before 37 weeks of pregnancy, or a lower birth weight baby, or weighing less than 5 pounds or 8 ounces. Babies born too soon or too small are increased risk for health problems. What cause of stress during pregnancy? The cause of stress are different from every woman, but here are some common causes during pregnancy. For example, you may be dealing with the discomforts of pregnancy like morning sickness, constipation, being tired of, or having a backache. And your hormones are changing, which can cause your mood to swing, can make it harder to handle stress. You may be worried about what to expect during labor and birth, or how to take care of your baby. If your work may have a managed job tasks or prepare routine for when you take maternity leave. You may work about how you eat, drink, and feel, and how these things affect your baby. Next is nutrition. So nutrition in prenatal development is the biochemical and psychological process by which an organism uses food to support its life. It includes indigestion, absorption, assimilation, biosynthesis, catabolism, and excretion. The science The science that studies the psychological process of nutrition is called nutritional science. By a person who delivered a baby, what they need or developing nutrition during prenatal. So, need to eat twice during pregnancy and it's a myth. The second and third trimester, you may need some extra food to provide nutrients for the growth of your baby. Then eating a little more lean protein and whole grains each day. This is all you need. So example, a small bowl of whole grain pasta with vegetable and meat or bean sauce. Next is birth measure or the exercise. Numerous studies have found that exercise during pregnancy, whether acute or chronic, is not harmful to the fetus and may benefit development in utero and after birth. For healthy pregnant women, regular exercise can keep your mind and body healthy. Physical activity can help you feel good and give you extra energy. It also makes your heart, lungs, and blood vessels strong and helps you stay fit. Help you gain the right amount of weight during pregnancy is some common discomforts of pregnancy such as constipations, back pain, and swelling in your legs, ankles, and feet. Help you manage stress and sleep better. Stress is worry, strain, or pressure that you feel in response to things that happen in your life. Help reduce your risk of pregnancy complications such as gestational diabetes and preeclampsia. Gestational diabetes is a kind of diabetes that can happen during pregnancy. It happens when your body has too much sugar called glucose in the blood. Preeclampsia is a type of high blood pressure some women get after the 20th week of pregnancy or after giving birth. So this condition can increase your risk of having complications during pregnancy such as premature birth, birth before 37 weeks of pregnancy, and help reduce your risk of having a cesarean birth, also called C-section. And cesarean birth is a surgery in which your body is born through a cut that your doctor makes in your belly and uterus. Next is German measles. Measles in pregnancy. If you're not immune to measles and become infected while you're pregnant, there's a risk of miscarriage or stillbirth. Your baby being born prematurely before the 37th week of pregnancy, your baby having a low birth weight. What is rubella? Rubella, commonly known as German measles, is an infection that affects the skin and lymph nodes, and it is caused by a virus. Rubella is serious in pregnant women because of the effect it can have on an unborn child. What are the symptoms of rubella? So when children get rubella, it's usually a mild illness, and sometimes they have no symptoms at all, but they can still spread the infections to others. Symptoms may include a low-grade fever and mild ache and pains. So sometimes red eyes, a rash of pink or light red spot that start on the face and spread down to the rest of the body. Neck glands may swell up the feel tender, especially behind the ears. The sickness lasts about 3 days and generally gets better on its own without any complication. And in teens and adults, rubella can be more serious disease. Joint pain is a common. Next is a prenatal care. Having a healthy pregnancy is one of the best ways to promote a healthy birth. Getting early and regular prenatal care improves the chances of healthy pregnancy. This care can begin even before pregnancy with a pre-pregnancy care visit to a healthcare provider. So, women who suspect that may be pregnant should schedule a visit to their healthcare provider to begin prenatal care. So, prenatal visit to a health care provider usually include a physical exam, weight checks, and providing a urine sample, depending on the stage of the pregnancy. And healthcare providers and may also do blood tests and imaging tests such as ultrasound image. This visit also include discussions about the mother's health and fetus health and any questions about the pregnancy. Next is endocrine irregularities. So, during pregnancy, the placenta, which connects to your baby to your blood supply, acts as a temporary endocrine, so or the hormone producing. So, glands producing large amount of estrogen and progesterone to help the uterus grow. So, hormonal changes during pregnancy affect the entire body system. So, the overview, diabetes mellitus, this condition is the most common comorbidity in pregnancy, occurring in 1 in 12 pregnant women, and it as many as in 1 in 7 non-Hispanic blacks. So, how the endocrine system affect pregnancy? So, during pregnancy, a woman experiences a changes in her endocrine system. So, throughout pregnancy, the level of progesterone and estrogen increase. The estrogen being produced by the placenta and the progesterone being produced by the corpus luteum and later by the placenta. Next is environmental. So during prenatal development, environmental factors can significantly affect the development of the child. Most everything the mother ingests, including food, liquid, and even medications, travels through the placenta to the fetus. So anything the mother is exposed to in the environmental affect the fetus. So how does the environmental affect the baby's development? So frequently, physical environmental factors like exposure to toxins or substances before and after birth can impact a child's physical development. Problems associated with these kinds of exposure must be low birth weight, premature birth, or major long-term medication problems. So, how does the environment affect the baby's environment? So, frequently, physical environmental factors like exposure to toxins or substances before the after birth, and can in fact a child's physical development. So, problem associated with these kinds of exposure might be low birth weight, premature birth, or major long-term medication problem. So next is incompatible blood types. So when the people who have one blood type receive blood from someone with a different blood type, it may cause their immune system to react. This is called ABO. Incompatibility due to modern settings technique, this problem is very rare. So how does Rh incompatibility affect prenatal development? If the mother is Rh negative, her immune system treats Rh positive fetal cells as if they were a foreign substances. So the mother body makes antibodies against the fetal blood cells. These antibodies may cross back through the placenta into the developing baby. They destroy the baby's circulating red blood cells. What happens when mom and baby have different blood types? So, if a baby's and mother's blood are incompatible, it can lead to fetal anemia, immune hydrops, or the erythroblastosis fetalis, and other complications. The most common type of blood is type incompatibility is Rh disease, also known as Rh incompatibility. The Rh factors is a protein or the covering of a red blood cells. This is the insight of the prenatal development. So, family is almost certainly the most important factors in child development in early childhood. Especially, parents are the ones who spend the most time with their children, and we or something unwittingly influence the way that they act and think and behave. So next development is the motor development. So means the physical growth and strengthening of a child's bones, muscle, and ability to move and touch his or her surroundings. For example, if a child is able to crawl or walk or the gross motor skills, he or she can more easily to explore their physical environment with affects cognitive development. Under the motor development, first is the nutrition. So, relationship nutritional status with gross and fine motor skill has the correlation value of 0.650 and moderate relationship level. Increasing the nutritional status greatly helps develop gross and fine motor skills development in the children during their golden age. So nutrition is the study of food and how it works in your body. So nutrition includes all the stuff that is in your food, such as vitamins, protein, fat, and more. It is important to eat a variety of foods, so including fruits, vegetables, dairy products, and grains, so you have what you need to grow and be healthy. So why nutrition is important during childhood? The physical benefits of proper nutrients are endless. So it gives children the energy to live life to the full and protects against malnourishment. So maintains the immune system, prevents obesity, and reduce the risk of chronic disease. So some important nutrients for children include calcium strengthens bones. Next is immunization. So vaccines work by triggering the immune system to fight against certain disease. If a vaccinated person come in contact with this disease, their immune system is able to respond more effectively, preventing the disease from developing or greatly reducing its severity. So, immunizations is the process by which an individual's immune system becomes fortified against infections agents known as the immunogen. For example, vaccine protects the children from life-threatening disease, so saving millions of lives each year. For fortunes vaccines to be effective, children need to be complete and the required doses according to schedule from the time they are born until they are 1 year old.
Third, environment. In addition to learning at school, make sure that your home environment also stimulates your child's mental development. This includes cognitive, linguistic, emotional, and motor skills. Fourth, the opportunities. All young children need daily sustained opportunities for play, both indoors and outdoors. Fifth is the illness and physical. Being seriously ill during this time can affect independence, causing a sense of inadequacy, development of poor self-esteem if scholastic skills are not mastered. Sixth is the intelligent. Think of intelligent as a kind of a road. Each child inherits a certain potential for developing intelligence. The stimulations a child receives during the early years provided by adults and through the child's own interests help develop the potentials and help determine where the child's intelligence winds up along the road. Seventh is the size of the body. In general, length in normal terms, infant increase about 30% by age 5 months and more than 50% by age 12 months. Infant typically grows about 10 inches 25 centimeters during the first year, and the height at 5 years is about double the birth length. In the boys, half the adult height is attained by about age 2. Fear. During typically development, children learn about regulate their responses to mild threats and stresses. However, if young children are exposed to persistent fear and excessive threat during particularly sensitive period in the developmental process, they may not develop healthy patterns of threat stress regulations. Hampering clothes. The clothes children wear can affect the development of their independence and self-help skill. So, motor development is important throughout a child's early life because physically development is tied to other development areas. Intellectual development. Cognitive or intellectual development means that growth of a child's ability to think or reason. It's about how they organize their minds, ideas, thoughts to make sense of the world to live in. Begin to reason and argue uses words like why and because. Understand concepts like yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Economic status. Your parents' socioeconomic status will determine many things about your early development. How you view the world, how much and how often you eat, the type of early childhood education, your overall health, or how others view you, it also the impact your later success or failures in life. Heredity, also called inheritance or biological. Inheritance is the passing on of traits from parents to their offspring, either through asexual reproduction or sexual reproduction. The offspring cells or organisms acquire the genetic information of their parents. Height is a good example of a genetic traits that can be influenced by environmental factors. While a child's genetic code may provide instructions for tallness, the expressions of this height might be suppressed if the child has poor nutrition or chronic illness. Environment. Environmental conditions can cause changes in gene expression through a process called epigenetics. For example, exposures to environmental tobacco smoke, either in utero, or in one's living space can affect cognitive development, resulting in cognitive dysfunction. Maturation. Cognitive maturations. These refer to the cognitive development of a children from birth to adulthood. It's refer to how babies think, learn, interact with their environment.
Hi everyone, I'm going to continue the moral development. Intelligence. Intelligence has been defined in many ways. The capacity for abstraction, logic, understanding, self-awareness, learning emotional, knowledge, reasoning, planning, creativity, critical thinking, and problem solving. School. The child is influenced by the nations of the good and the bad as a result of his relationship with his classmates, teachers, and senior students. Society and culture. Different societies have different cultures. However, it is important not to confuse the idea of culture with a society. A culture represents the belief and practices of a group, while society represents the people who share those beliefs and practices. Neither society nor culture could exist without the other. Age or maturation and learning maturity plays a major role in a student's success. Cognitive maturity is related to how we think. It can be defined as the way our brains develop, how we process knowledge, abstract concepts, our ability to recognize and analyze, language learning, and more. Sex. Sex is a trait that determines an individual's reproductive function, male and female. In animals and plants that propagate their species through sexual reproduction, the type of gametes produced by the organism define its sex. The insight of moral development, it focuses on the emergence, change, and understanding of morality from infancy through adulthood. Morality develops across a lifetime, and it influenced by an individual experiences and behavior when faced with moral issues through different periods of physical and cognitive development. I'm going to identify the language development. Language development. During early childhood, children's abilities to understand, to process, and to produce language also flourish in an amazing way. Young children experience a language explosion between the ages of 3 and 6 as children move beyond using two-word sentence. They start to learn and understand grammar rules. Family. Family engagement during the earliest year of a child's life is one of the most powerful predictors of a child development. Family engagement is early education is particularly important for children in low-income families in that helps create consistency between the home and school environments. Your body language plays as important a role as anything else in pitching forward a new idea. The way you speak, the way you maintain eye contact, your hand gestures, and your posture all have a vital impact on your audience. Intelligence. The study provides evidence that individual differences in language development during the first years of life are associated with intelligence in midlife. Early language development is associated with intelligence in midlife. Sex. Gender differences in language use appear early. Girls are more likely to use language in the context of emotional relationship with others, while boys are more likely to use language to describe objects and events. Social environment. A person's social environment is their society and all surroundings influenced in some way by humans. It includes all relationships, institutions, culture, and physical structures. The natural environment is the natural world around us, the ground, the trees, and the air. Social-economic status. Family socio-economic status is related to language development in multiple domains throughout childhood and in adulthood as well. Children from lower SES homes show lower levels of language and communication skills than children from higher SES homes beginning in infancy. The insight of language development is inherently a process of change, exploring the multiple and varied trajectories of language can provide us with insights into a development of more general cognitive processes.
Good day to each and everyone, especially Coach 2. For this topic 5, we will discuss the factors affecting adolescents' development. So, during adolescence, young people will neglect puberty and the completions of growth, take on sexuality, demorphic body shape, develop new cognitive skill or including abstract thinking capacities, and develop a clearer sense of personal and sexual identity, and also develop a degree of emotional, personal, and financial. First development is a physical development in male and female. So first in male. So rapid skeletal growth. So growth, development, and decline of the human skeleton are of central importance to physical anthropology. All processes of skeletal growth or the longitudinal growth as well as gains and losses of bone mass are subject to environmental and genital influences. So, there is little difference in skeletal structures in prepubertal males. and females, as bone length increase during growth and diameter of a bone across section or increase with expansions of the medullary cavity, so that there is a little chance in apparent or the VBMD in the vertebral body or long bones. So, at what age is skeletal growth complete? So, as a child grows, the shafts get longer and bone gradually replace the cartilage epiphysis, and through the growth years, a layer of cartilage or the growth plate separate each epiphysis from the bone shaft. So between 17 and 20 years, normal growth stop the development and union of separate bone part is complete. Next is enlargement of testes, 11 to 12 years old. Hydrocele and hernias are among the most common causes of scrotal swelling. Hydrocele is a collection of fluid that builds up around the testicles. Hydrocele sometimes occur during early development. In such cases, the testicles descends into the scrotum and leave behind an irregular opening that does not close. What causes a man's testicles to enlarge? So, enlarged testicle is a common symptoms of injury, inflammations or infection testicles. Enlargement result from swelling in the soft tissues. A lump or a cyst within the testicles, injury leading to swelling is a common cause of an enlargement testicle, or we call tulip. Next is changing of voice. A boy's voice typically begins to change between ages 11 and 14 and a half, usually just after the major growth spurt. Some boys' voices might change gradually, where others might change quickly. So, what caused male voice change? So, what caused my voice to change? So, to puberty, guys' bodies begin producing a lot of the hormone testosterone. So, or the pronounced testosterone, which causes changes in several parts of the body, including the voice. For starters, a guy's larynx or the pronouns of larynx, so are also known as the voice box, grows bigger. Next is mass ache. Hormones called androgens, which are present in both sexes, stimulate vellus hair to darken and cause sense. But men have higher levels of androgens, so their hair growth changes more than movements. Body hair darkness and facial hairs sprout, usually starting at the upper lips and spreading to the cheek and chin. The mouth ache forms its own stage in development of facial hair in adolescents, males during puberty. So, the first facial hairs to appear turns to grow at the corners of the upper lips, age 11 to 15, are we called bigote. Next is pubic hair. So, stats shows the men are split right down the middle when it comes up with grooming. So it's really all about personal preference. Some men go completely publess, while others just give a trim. So some men don't pay any attention to it via keeping it clean, and either way, it's totally okay. Next is increased musculature. So increasing muscles definition is really just a simple idea of increasing muscles mass and decreasing body fat, especially the fat between the skin and muscles called subcutaneous fat. Doing these two things is concert is the one creates defined muscle that you can see. Next is develop of acne. For most people, changes in hormone levels trigger acne. These hormones create oils that can lead clogged pores and which sometimes let bacteria grow. Both of these problems cause breakouts. Men those father had severe and acne are more likely to have it too. So how long does male acne last? So acne commonly start during puberty between the age of 10 and 13 and tends and to be worse in people with oily skin. So teenage acne usually lasts for 5 to 10 years, normally going away during the early 20s. It occurs in both sexes, although teenage boys tend to have the most severe cases. Next is develop height and weight, muscle mass in 19 or 21 years old. So most boys reach their peak height around the age of 16. However, men still develop in other way well into their 20s. So research has found the brain doesn't fully develop until the age of 25 and men usually achieve peak muscle mass somewhere between the age of 20 and 30. So generally the best age of body buying is between 20 and 30 or when you have reached full growth. As discussed, testosterone levels peak around age 19. So after age 30, they begin to gradually decline by other 1% per year and according to the Cleveland Clinic. Next, in females, so breastfeeding and menstruation. So in breast development, in general, breast development begins between the ages of 8 and 13. A girl's breasts are typically fully developed by age 17 or 18. However, in some cases, they can continue to grow into her early 20s. So, and menstruations or period is normally vaginal bleeding that occurs a part of a woman monthly cycle. Every month, your body prepares for pregnancy. If no pregnancy occurs, the uterus or womb shelled into lining. The menstruation blood is a partly tissues from inside and uterus period usually happen about once a month, but some girls get their periods around every 3 weeks and others only get period about once every 6 weeks. Next is reduced baby fats. So in adults, brown fats is the good kind of fat. So if often though of as baby fat, but new research has found that it exists in adults and may play a role in regulating metabolism and staving of type 2 diabetes. Weak fat or bad fat scores any energy but also clogs arteries and accumulates as visible body fat, and we can say chubby face and we call bilbil.
Establishment of emotional separations of parents. When children found out that their parents are divorcing or separating, they are often unprepared. They can feel sad, lonely, confused. They may worry that because one parent is leaving the others, that parents may leave them too. Emotional and behavioral problems in children are more common when their parents are fighting or separating. Children can become very insecure. Insecurity can cause children to behave like they are much younger and therefore bedwetting, clinginess, nightmares, worries or disobedience can all occur. Examples: following their parents' separation, children may regress, display anxiety and depressive symptoms, appear more irritable, demanding, and non-compliant, and experience problems in social relationship and school performance. Establishment of personal sense and identity. Personal identity is the concept you develop about yourself that involves other the course of your life. This may include aspects of your life that you have no control over, such as where you grow up or the color of your skin, as well as choices you make in life, such as how you spend your time and what you believe. Examples: personality traits, abilities, likes and dislikes, your belief system or moral code, and the things that motivate you. These all contribute to self-image or your unique identity as a person. Further separation from parents. Parents are the greatest treasures a child is keeping. They hold great affections to their child since they are ones who were watching over them as they grow. As the child grows, their affections to their parents are also starting to grow, so if a parent was separated to it, child that affect will cause a serious damage to the child emotionally. They will feel depressed because they are starting to miss the affections that their parents gave to them. Flashbacks will roll over the child as the separation continues, a quick recall that they can't handle because their bond with their parents is rather strong as time passes by. Interest in informing romantic relationship. Romantic relationship can be part of separation that implies from the families that connect and affected of ourselves to be a perfect person that can handle a problem, to become a strong person and face the reality of life, to the relationship between the two situational problem, the awareness to become adolescents. Strong peer effect. Peer pressure can influence any areas of your child life, from their taste in music to their choice of school subjects. Positive effects of peer pressure include a sense of belonging and support, increased self-confidence, increased health risk behavior. Health high risk behavior are defined as acts that increase a risk or disease or injury, which can subsequently lead to disability, death, or social problem. The most common high-risk behaviors include violence, alcoholism, tobacco use disorder, risky sexual behaviors, and eating disorders. Sexual interest and peers. Perceive liberal attitude or peers appear as a risk factor for the sexual behavior of adolescents, and conservative peers attitude as the protective factors. Thus, for example, the sexual permissiveness or peers in associated with a high risk of being sexual active. Early vocational plan. The purpose of vocational planning is to utilize the information obtained in that intake and assessment phases to assist the participant to select a realistic and achievable vocational goals, to identify the service and sequential action necessary to achieve that goal. Increase impulse control. An impulse control disorder is a condition in which a person has trouble controlling emotions or behaviors. Often that behavior violates the rights of others or conflict with societal norms, and the law. Emerging goals, autonomy. Types of autonomy defines as ability to function effectively when being a cooperated members of a given group. Insight. The adolescence stage of development is a critical time, and it's another opportunity for adults to support the continued development of youth and young adults. Understanding adolescence development can help supportive adult work with youth in a more productive manners and promote open lines of communication.
Hi everyone, I am Crisol Jane C. Caballes. I'm going to continue the social development, establishment of vocational capability. Vocational education or vocational education and training, VET, also called career and technical education or CTE, prepares learners for jobs that are based in manual or practical practices, traditionally non-academic and totally related to specific trade, occupation, or vocation, hence the term in which the learner. The types of vocational education: hairstyling, fashion designing, makeup artistry, event planning, electrical repairs, home cleaning, and arts and crafts. Bullying. Bullying is an ongoing and deliberate misuse of power in relationship through repeated verbal, physical, and social behaviors that intends to cause physical, social, and psychological harm. It can involve an individual or a group misusing their power or perceived power over one and more person who feels unable to stop it from happening. Bullying can happen in person or online via various digital platforms and devices, and it can be obvious, overt, or hidden covert. Bullying behavior is repeated or has the potential to be repeated over time. For example, through sharing of the digital records. There are many different types of bullying that can be experienced by children and adults alike. Some are obvious to spot, while others can be more subtle. The different types of bullying can we look at below, or some of the way that bullying could be happening. Physical bullying. Physical bullying includes hitting, kicking, stripping, pinching, and pushing or damaging property. Physical bullying causes both short-term and long-term damage. Verbal bullying. Verbal bullying includes name-calling, insults, teasing, intimidation, homophobic or racist remarks, or verbal abuse. While verbal bullying can start off harmless, it can escalate to levels which start affecting the individual target. Social bullying. Social bullying, sometimes referred to as covert bullying, is often harder to recognize and can be carried out behind the bullied person's back. It is designed to harm someone's social reputation and cause humiliation. Cyberbullying. The Cyberbullying Research Center defines cyberbullying as intentional and repeated harm inflicted through the use of computers, phones, and other electronic devices. Cyberbullying can be overt or covert bullying behaviors using digital technologies, including hardware such as computers and smartphones, and softwares such as social media, instant messaging, text, websites, and other online platforms. Cyberbullying can happen at any time. It can be in public or in private, and sometimes only known to the target and the person bullying. Cyberbullying can include abuse or hurtful texts, emails, or posts, images, or videos, deliberately excluding other online nasty gossip, or humors imitating others online or using their login. Hi everyone, I am Crisol Jane C. Caballes. I'm going to explain the moral development. Moral development is growth, and like all growth, it takes place according to a predetermined sequence by Kohlberg's theory of moral development. This theory is stage theory. In other words, everyone goes through the stages sequentially without skipping any stage. Assess moral reasoning by posing hypothetical moral dilemmas and examining the reasoning behind people's answers. Want to be a nice person. Nice people are honest with themselves and others without lacking kindness. They tell the truth at all times without hurting other people's feelings. Telling lies, on the other hand, is not something nice people do, because this is it that and honesty damage relationships. How to be a nicer person? Becoming a nicer person isn't hard as you think. There are things that you can do to show compassion, empathy, and kindness in your everyday interaction with others. Act with kindness. Being a nice person means acting with kindness. In research suggests that kindness can positively impact your brain. Being kind is a reinforcing habit. Be crave with feel-good sensation of being kind, so one act of kindness can easily lead to another. Personal choice. Personal choice in psychology can be described as the variability of outcomes that result from the process of making a decision. Reason to be good, being moral or good, is necessary for having self-respect. Self-respect is necessary for happiness, and only people who can make just and fair self-assessment can have self-knowledge, and only just and fair people, good, moral people, can make just and fair assessment. Physical. Physical means connected with or pertaining to the animal or human body as a material organism. Physical strength. Bodily means belonging to or concerned with the human body as distinct from the mind or spirit. Bodily sensations. Psychological. Psychology is the scientific study of the mind and behavior. Psychology includes the study of conscious and unconscious phenomena, including feelings and thoughts. It is an academic discipline of immense scope, crossing the boundaries between the natural and the social sciences. Culture is an umbrella term which encompasses the social behavior and norms found in human society as well as the knowledge, belief, arts, laws, costumes, capabilities, and habits of the individual in the groups. Define gender differences. Gender, on the other hand, involves how a person identifies. Unlike natal sex, gender is not made of a binary norms. Instead, gender is a broad spectrum. A person may identify at any point with this spectrum or outside of the entirely. People may identify with genders that are different from their natal sex or with none or at all. These identifiers may include transgender, non-binary, or gender neutral. There are many other ways in which a person may define their own gender. Gender also exists as social construct as gender roles or norms. There are defined trusted sources as social constructed roles, behaviors, and attributes that a society considers appropriate for men and women.